Hey guys, and welcome to this is episode 29 of my Out of the Park Baseball 21 series with the Chicago Cubs. Excuse me. It is the beginning of May, and as you can see, things are looking pretty good for us. We are 23 and 12, and 4 games up, I believe. Yeah, 4 games up in the National League Central over the Cardinals, 4.5 clear of the Reds. Um, it's been pretty good so far. Offensively, we're doing okay for the most part. A couple players are struggling, but for the most part, we're doing okay offensively. We're doing okay on the mound as well. Our pitching has been at least our starters have been very, very good. Um, so yeah, things are looking pretty good. So let's start. Let's really quickly run through pitching and the lineup. So German Marquez continues his great run as a Cub. He's 4-2 with a 1.97 ERA, 2.14 WHIP, good for 2 WAR. Jim Pruitt is having just an amazing first month of the season, 6-0 with a 1.09 ERA. FIP is a little bit higher than that. BABIP is a little low, so obviously he's not going to maintain that. But so far so good, as Sixto Sanchez has gotten off to another bit of a slow start here, or 4.03 ERA. His BABIP is a little high, so you expect the two of them to sort of even out as we move on through the season. But having Pruitt pitch that well off the bat has been great. Christopher Osorio's pitched well in our closer role. Marcano's pitched well in the stopper role. Really, everybody's done pretty good this year except for Carlos Rodriguez. And for him, you just look at the BABIP, 577 BABIP. I mean, his FIP isn't much better. Well, I guess it is. It's about 4 runs less than his actual ERA. So he's just getting unlucky at this point, I think. Offensively, we have a few players doing really, really well. Javi Baez leads us with 10 home runs. I'm glad we re-signed him. Rafael Devers, 886 OPS, good for 1.2 WAR, 20 RBIs. Chris Adams, the rookie, has done a really nice job, 366, 421, 732, good for an 1150 OPS. The only reason his WAR isn't higher is because he's not a very good defensive outfielder, but he puts up numbers like this, it doesn't matter. Mookie continues to do Mookie things. The average is a little light, but still putting up an 847 OPS. His BABIP's a little low for him, so you expect that to turn around. He continues to play very, very good defense for us. Dorian Gonzalez continues to do what he does. He's even hitting a little bit this year, 3 home runs. Eric Pena got 5 home runs, hitting 343. It seems to have finally clicked for him. A couple people are struggling. Andrew Vaughn, no home runs, 11 RBIs. He's got a 290 slugging, but a 422 on base percentage. So I'm hoping he will just work himself out of this while maintaining the on base percentage. That would be fantastic. Jason Dominguez, I think we've hit our peak with Jason. The averages dropped significantly. Still provides pretty good defense, but Justin Stewart has sort of passed him up as he's hitting almost 100 points higher, and he is an even better center fielder. So, former first-round draft pick of ours getting some playing time in center field. So there's not a whole lot that we need to do here. We're just going to sim ahead through or up until the trade deadline, or up until the draft. We'll do the draft. We'll look for potential trade moves, I guess. Somebody to replace Vaughn. There have been a couple of deals that have been on the I've been thinking about pulling the trigger on, but I haven't done it yet. Really, it's one trade with one team, and it's with Baltimore. Manny Flores and excuse me, and Manny Ramirez. Now, if you look at both of these guys, Ramirez, really solid bat. He's only 25 years old, not very good defensively, but a really good bat, especially against righties. Manny Flores, 23 years old. His bat's almost elite. Very, very good first baseman. Can also play center and right field. Has a ton of speed as well. Look at his ratings, and again, great against righties and pretty good against lefties. And um, Baltimore, at least they were willing to trade both of those players straight up for Andrew Vaughn, and they still are. So this is something I've been sitting on for a while. I don't know if I'm ready to pull the trigger on it yet. I want to give Vaughn a little bit of time here. The on base percentage is still great, so I want to give him some time to figure this stuff out. And if he can end up at he hasn't been great though. I mean, 1.5 WAR, 2 WAR. If he ends up the season at a 3.5 or 4 WAR, that's fine. But I don't know if he's going to do that with his bat. And something tells me that one or both of these guys could. So I'll probably sit on this till the trade deadline. If it's still there and Vaughn's still not hitting, I'll probably pull the trigger. So when we come back, it'll be the first year player draft. We'll go through that and we'll see where we stand. So hang tight. All right, guys, we are back. It is first year player draft time. We currently sit 43-23, 9 games up in the NL Central. It's a comfortable lead for us. Without going into the finite details of everybody, Mookie Betts having a great season, 3.1 WAR in just 63 games, 18 home runs already from Mookie. Devers having a nice year for us, 11 home runs and 910 OPS. Eric Pena. We moved Pena into the starting lineup because he was hitting. He was the only center fielder hitting, and he's doing really well for us. Adams continues to hit the ball in his rookie season. Power's down a little bit, but that's fine. Baez with 15 home runs continues to do what he does. Andrew Vaughn's picked it up a little bit. More than doubled his extra base hits in the month of May, while maintaining that on base percentage. The slugging is increased almost 90 points, so he's getting back up to that 800 OPS. Jason Dominguez has had a hot month for us, and that's about it. Everybody else has been kind of meh. Francisco Alvarez getting his first attempt at the starting catcher job, and it's not going particularly well. Pitching, things are going very well on this end. German Marquez, 3 WAR already. Sixto Sanchez has kicked it up a notch, was really good in May. Jim Pruitt came back down to earth as anticipated, but he's still 8-1. Bullpen's been very good. 2.60 ERA for Fletcher, or for Marcano. 1.82 ERA for Butcher. One of the pitchers we got in that off-season deal. Osorio's doing okay as the closer, 31 strikeouts in 23 innings. So things are looking pretty good right now. So let's go over to the draft. We pick 31st. Go ahead and start the draft and see what's available for us. And I think this is a no-brainer. Don't normally take relievers with the first pick, but this guy's too good to pass up. Ken Kelly. Just make sure there's nobody else. Yeah, it's got to be Ken Kelly. Look at 100 contact, 100 gap, 49 power potential, and he's a solid reliever. So Ken Kelly is going to be our first pick. On to the next round. And just like that, there's nothing left. Josh Bishop, 2-star. Not bad. Decent contact, decent gap power. Passable home run power. Good speed, good defense. He's a 20-year-old high school student, which isn't thrilling, but it'll do. Josh Bishop. Jim White. He's kind of a douchebag, so no. Angelo Saucedo. Bob Goff. Yeah, he's a better hitter. We'll go Bob Goff. Next pick. What do we have left? Anything? Pierce. Another decent. Where do we go with the shortstop? Joe Vines. I think we're going to go Joe Vines. He's a good defensive shortstop. Potentially can hit down the road. It's all these players are the same. They've got the high contact, high gap, no power, no eye, good contact, or good avoid Ks. Well, Mike Pierce, I guess. Delgado. Call it a draft. So yeah, we're in pretty good shape. If we look at our roster, we'll let this thing finish. If you look at our roster, there aren't many holes. Catching I thought was going to be a strong suit for us with Naylor and Alvarez, and it just hasn't been. So it might be time to think about what we're going to do there. Vaughn hasn't been great, so it might be worth it to pick up, rehash that trade with Baltimore. But again, I'm going to take that one closer to the trade deadline. And that's really it. I'm really solid in the outfield. I'm really solid second, third, and short, both starters and backups. I've got some other people in the minors. Pitching, unless there's an elite starting pitcher out there, and even then, I don't think I'd really want to break this up. My 5 starters are doing really well. My bullpen's doing really well. Maybe if we can get an elite back of the bullpen guy, closer type, for relatively cheap, we might pull that trigger. But there's not a whole lot that I think we need to do. So I'll probably just sim ahead and if something comes my way that is worth it, I'll pull the trigger. Otherwise, we might just go to battle with what we have. So when we come back, it'll be the trade deadline. We'll go over what moves I've made and why I made them. Oh, and we lost Casey Mize for he was pushed back another 14 months. So that sucks. So we're going to lose Casey Mize really almost through the end of next season. He'll be back in August of 2028. So we are probably going to move on from Mize here as he is already 30. So that's a shame. So that's going to, I guess that's not going to do it, but that's going to do it for this segment. When we come back, it'll be the trade deadline, and we'll go from there. So be right back. All right, guys, we are back. It is the trade deadline, and to say that we made a bold move would be an understatement. This is the definition of going for it. So I'll pull this up, and let's pretend that this was one big trade, because it really was. It was with the same team on the same day, 2 separate deals. So let's take a look at them, shall we? It was with the Toronto Blue Jays, and I noticed that they had Vladimir Guerrero on the trade block. So I went and talked to him, and this is what we came up with. So the Blue Jays are sending us Vlad Guerrero and retaining 20% of his salary. And we are sending Toronto Andrew Vaughn, minor league filler prospect, and then the number 216 prospect in baseball, Josh Grant. Grant is not bad. OSA likes him a whole lot more than we do. But
In exchange for those three players, we pick up Vlad Guerrero Jr., and we are going to make him, and we already have made him, a first baseman. He started with no rating. He's already up to a 20, so that's encouraging. You can see Vlad on the year was hitting 333 at a 903 OPS. Struggled a little bit since coming over from Toronto, but still doing better than Vaughn had been doing for us. For his career, the 28-year-old already has 312 home runs, already has 1,600 hits. He is due a lot of money for the next few seasons. $28 million for the next 3 seasons beyond this one. Toronto's going to be eating 20% of that, so that's what? That's 2.8. That's about $5.6 million a year. So we'll be paying Vlad about $23 million until he is 31 years old. The second half of the trade, and again, I count it as one trade because you can't put more than 5 people in a deal, is we sent Hunter Barco, Jason Dominguez, and a couple of minor leaguers to Toronto for Nate Pearson, and they retained 25% of Pearson's contract. Barco, not a bad pitcher. He's a 3.5 star potential. He's 26 years old. Had done pretty well for us this year, but we had to give up a pitcher in order to get Pearson back, and Barco was the one who made the most sense. Time was up on Jason Dominguez. Again, he was pretty good. The previous couple seasons had struggled a little bit. Actually, it looked like his numbers had picked up here recently this year, but he's been passed on the depth chart by a couple different people, so we felt he was expendable. And a couple of minor leaguers, a 26-year-old and a 21-year-old shortstop. In return, we get Nate Pearson, who was 11-2 with a 1.85 ERA for Toronto in 21 games this year since coming to Chicago. 3 starts, 2-0 with a 1.64 ERA, 25 strikeouts to a 1 walk. And you can see he's just an absolute animal. 100 stuff, 3 great pitches, decent movement, decent control. He's fantastic. He is owed $22 million for the next 2 years beyond this one. The Blue Jays are paying 25%, so again, about $4 million of that. That really does a number on our payroll. We can afford it this season. Next season, though, we are going to have a couple of decisions to make. Mize will come off the books. We will probably move on from Bo Naylor. And then Mookie has a $20 million option, which, if he continues to hit like he's hitting right now, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him decline it. And then we'll have a little bit of money, and we'll have to figure out what to do, because I would love to bring Mookie back, but I don't know if we're going to be able to afford it. So we will have to see how it goes. So we are in all-in mode now, guys. We're stacked. Our lineup is stacked. Our pitching rotation is absolutely dominant, 1 through 5. So I don't see how anybody's going to stand in our way, but we will see. So let's take a look at the team stats really quickly before we call it an episode. We look at batting stats through the end of July. Mookie Betts with a 5.8 WAR, 30 home runs, 67 knocked in, 400 OPS. Mookie's having himself a whale of a season. Struggled a little bit last year with injuries, but he's bounced back nicely. Rafael Devers continues to just pound the ball for us. 907 OPS, 3.7 WAR, 22 home runs. Eric Pena has slid into the starting role in center field quite nicely, putting up an 879 OPS and a 3.1 WAR. He's got a couple players breathing down his neck, though, which is nice. I mean, competition breeds success. One of those players, Mario Guaraca, one of our international signings, we called him up. He's still a little raw. He's not going to play a ton, but once we traded Dominguez, we were able to call up Guaraca. We talked about Vlad already. Dorian Gonzalez, again, playing just stellar defense, 16 plus 16 zone rating in 112 games. He's probably a shoo-in for the Gold Glove again this season. Chris Adams, doing really nice in his rookie year, 919 OPS. He's out there for his bat. I mean, he's a 1.8 WAR. His defense is average. I think he'd be better served in the American League as a DH, but we'll stick with him now. Bo Naylor's having a pretty good season, 753 OPS, and Francisco Alvarez has bounced back nicely here over the last month. July, or I guess June was his best month where he hit 310. So he's coming along. 755 OPS this past month. Not great, but not terrible by any means. Javi Baez, 1.3 WAR, 20 home runs, 60 RBIs. Javi continues to get it done with the bat, and his defense is starting to slip. Negative 2.3 zone rating, so we might have a decision to make with Javi in terms of how we choose to play him. And then Stewart, McConnell, and Nevin are just backups at this point. Although Stewart, 21 doubles in only 63 starts, 758 OPS, 9 steals. So he's doing pretty well in his rookie season. Pitching-wise, things are just looking great for us. Nate Pearson is our leading WAR. Look at that, 79 hits in 143 innings. He's just having an absolutely incredible season. German Marquez, 11-7, 2.51 ERA, 5.2 WAR. What else can you say about Marquez since we picked him up from Colorado a couple years ago? 6-1, 18-8, 18-3, 16-8, and 11-7 this year. So that's what, 24 and 18 is 42, 58, 69, and 15, 19, 69, and 27 in 4 full seasons with the Cubs. I would say that was a successful trade for us. Sixto Sanchez having another great year, 9-4, 2.63 ERA, 3.6 WAR. Jim Pruitt, the youngster, coming on nicely, 13-3 with a 3.50 ERA, and Anthony Mendez, the rookie, 8-5, 3.29. He's actually had a really nice last couple of months for us. You look at it, especially as July, 3-0 with a 1.77 ERA, 31 strikeouts to 5 walks in 35 innings. So he's coming along nicely as a 24-year-old, and he's our number 5 starter, guys. I mean, our starting rotation is just absolutely. It's just a monstrosity. Christopher Osorio, ERA is a little high, but that could be due to, let's take a look at his game log. Yeah, he had one right here. This game against Pittsburgh, he gave up 4 runs, and that jacked his ERA up over 4. So overall, he's doing fine. Jose Marcano in a stopper role, doing really, really nicely. 2.26 ERA, 70 strikeouts in 63 innings. Carlos Rodriguez has bounced back, 47 strikeouts, 9 walks in 37 innings. Still got a 400 BABIP, so expect that to drop even more as the season goes on. Jarrett Jones has done a pretty nice job as a swingman for us. Cherez Butcher, a 1.86 ERA. I mean, that just goes on and on and on. I mean, we don't have a pitcher with negative WAR. I mean, our pitching staff has just been absolutely insane. And that gives us a 17-game lead in the National League Central on July 31st. So I think we are we're pretty set to go here. You look at this, we have the top-rated pitching staff, essentially the top-rated bullpen, top-rated outfielder. I mean, our team is stacked right now. If we don't win this year, I don't know when we're going to. I talked a little bit about salaries. We still have money for free agents, but we have nothing for extensions. So it's got to be this year. We're going to have a difficult time bringing anybody back next year. So we're going to have to find a way to cut some payroll if we don't do it this season. Like I said, Naylor's probably gone. We may have to look to move Baez. If he... I mean, I'd hate to trade him. I feel like Javi should be a lifelong Cub. I mean, 353 home runs as a Cub. But I don't know. I just feel like he's going to end up being an anchor with no position, and that's going to be a problem. So we'll have to make some moves there. If we take a look at the Major League standings, New York Yankees with a 1-game lead over the Blue Jays. White Sox with a 1-game lead over the Indians and the Tigers. Very tight AL Central race. Mariners with a 4-game lead over the Angels. And at least the Phillies are running away with the East, 13-game lead over the Nationals. And the West, it pretty much looks like the National League is wrapped up here. Philadelphia, Chicago, and Arizona with the leads in each division. And then the wild card is got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams within 3 games. So good race for the wild card in the National League. So that's going to do it for this episode, guys. When we come back, it'll be, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know if I'm just going to play through the end of the season since we are blowing everybody away. That seems like probably the best option. Play through the end of the season, go over the end of the year stats, sim through the playoffs, and hopefully year number 8 will be the year that we finally break through and win that elusive World Series. So that's going to do it. So please leave a like and subscribe. And until we talk again, everybody take care. Bye-bye.